Production. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Butler, your favorite exercise scientist. And today I want to get into something that is common, that is also common and personal to me. That darn weight gain in the menopausal stages. So, I noticed that my weight gain was starting when I was preparing for my last bodybuilding competition. If anyone knows how strict and restricted this diet is, you would question how is it even possible to gain weight. But baby, them hormones said, watch this. And just like that, I gained 45 pounds. But I'm happy to say a few years later, I have lost the weight after I educated myself about the menopausal stages. And now the weight is gone and I'm headed back to the stage. So let me share what I have learned throughout the years. Weight gain is common and often begins in perimenopause. Studies show that 74% of women ages 40 to 64 were overweight or obese in 2021, and it's projected to reach 83.4% by 2050. Even if you're healthy, have an active lifestyle, and have never had weight concerns in the past, it can happen to you too. The culprit is estrogen. See, when estrogen rises and falls, then steadily declines, it sets off a chain of physiological changes that makes it easier for weight gain and harder to maintain the same body composition you had before. Your metabolism isn't broken. Your hormones are simply rewriting the rules. What's happening is that a loss of estrogen during the menopausal stages leads to a decrease in resting metabolic rate, meaning your body burns fewer calories while at rest. When estrogen levels falls, your body doesn't just change how much weight you gain, it changes where the weight shows up. This is where we start developing that menopausal belly. Next, estrogen directly affects how fat cells function. See, typically, estrogen promotes fat burning and inhibits fat storing. But when the estrogen is decreased, the fat storing action takes over. So now, if that wasn't enough, estrogen helps regulate the hormones that causes us to feel full and hungry. So guess what? When it's declined, our brain doesn't get the message that we're full and not hungry. So we keep eating high sugar foods, high fat foods. Then because we have low estrogen, we begin to lose muscle mass. This contributes to the weight gain because muscle mass decreases the body's ability to burn calories throughout the day. Now, I mentioned a condition earlier, menopause belly. Now, what in the world is that? Because no one talks about it. And guess what? There's limited research on this condition, but it's real. And here's what it means. It's a shift in how the body stores fat during the menopausal stages. As estrogen declines, your body becomes more likely to hold fat around the abdominal, especially the deeper varicose fat that sits around the organs. This isn't the same simple weight gain. It's a hormonal redistribution. And here's the tricky part. Traditional measures like BMI don't capture this change at all. So women can have perfectly normal BMI and still carry enough abdominal fat to increase her health risk. This is why so many women feel like something is changing, even when the scale doesn't move. Sadly, women with normal BMIs are often overlooked or dismissed in clinical guidelines. But why is this important? Menopause belly is really about varicose fat, the deep, more active fat that settles around the abdominal and wraps around the organs like the liver and the pancreas. Before menopause, estrogen helps guide the fat towards our hip and our thighs. But as the estrogen declines, the body shifts its storage pattern towards the midsection, creating that familiar apple shape look that women notice. Here's what's actually happened underneath the surface. Lower estrogen makes enzymes inside the abdominal fat cells more active. Those fat cells store fat more easily, even if your diet and activity has not changed. Those fat cells grow, they become stressed, and they start sending distress signals that attract immune cells. That sparks a low-grade chronic inflammation that interferes with insulin. It drives insulin resistance and encourages even more fat accumulation. Over time, this buildup of varicose fat weakens the metabolic resiliencies and contributes to glucose intolerance, meaning your body has a harder time managing blood sugar after meals, even if you're nowhere near diabetic levels. So yeah, it's a real thing. Once fat begins to settle in the midsection, it signals a deeper hormonal and metabolic shift happening beneath the surface, which naturally leads into the conversation about metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of changes: increased abdominal fat, insulin resistance, higher blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, and rising fasting glucose that tends to become common as estrogen declines during the menopausal transition. Those factors work together to raise the risk for heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and even cognitive decline. And the presence of just 3 of these meet the criteria of metabolic syndrome. It's not a one system failing, it's the body showing us that metabolic balance is shifting. So what actually drives metabolic syndrome? While genetics and lifestyle plays a role, the real engine behind it is insulin resistance. In a healthy system, food is broken down into glucose, and insulin acts like the key that helps the glucose move into our cells for energy. But during metabolic syndrome, our muscles, fat, and liver stop responding to the key. The body tries to compensate by producing more insulin, which eventually pushes blood sugar levels high and fuels inflammation throughout the body. When these cells can't take up or store glucose efficiently, insulin resistance develops, forcing the pancreas to work even harder. And if the body can't keep up with the demand, blood sugar rises, setting the stage for pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. Metabolic syndrome is surprisingly common, and 1 in 3 adults in the US lives with it. While diet, movement, and lifestyle all plays a role, the menopausal stages adds its own layer of risk. As estrogen levels fall, the body undergoes several metabolic shifts: more abdominal or varicose fat, reduced insulin sensitivity, higher blood pressure, worsening cholesterol patterns, and a natural loss of muscle mass slows the metabolism. Muscle loss and lower daily energy expenditure only adds to the disruptions. The challenge is that metabolic syndrome is often underdiagnosed in women, especially in midlife, which is exactly when these changes accelerates the most. Losing weight during the menopausal stages isn't about trying hard. It's about understanding your physiology has changed, and your strategies must change with it. As estrogen declines, the body becomes more insulin resistant, more prone to storing varicose fat, and less efficient at burning calories at rest. That's why old methods stop working. But with the right approach, we can lose weight, we can reduce menopause belly, and we can lower the risk for metabolic syndrome. First and foremost, we must prioritize strength training to rebuild muscle mass. Strength training becomes non-negotiable in midlife. Muscles is your metabolic arm, and the more you have, the better your body handles blood sugar, inflammation, and fat storage. Strength training increases muscle mass that boosts resting metabolic rates. It improves insulin sensitivity. It lowers metabolic syndrome risk. And it reduces varicose fat more efficiently than cardio does alone. Next, we must shift into protein-forwarding eating. Protein is your ally. It keeps our metabolism steady, our cravings in check, and our muscles protected. Most women in midlife undereat protein without even realizing it, which worsens muscle loss and increased cravings. Why it works. It supports muscle repair and growth. It keeps you full longer, stabilizes blood sugar, and helps reduce abdominal fat. Then we have to reduce insulin spikes to target visceral fat. The goal isn't cutting carbs, it's controlling the roller coaster. Stable blood sugar makes fat loss easier and calms hormonal chaos. Because insulin resistance rises during perimenopause, stabilizing blood sugar becomes essential for losing menopausal belly. The strategies: pair carbs with protein or fat. Choose high fiber carbs. Avoid long stretches without eating. And limit ultra processed foods. A great tip I recommend is walking more, especially after meals. A 10 to 15 minute walk after meals acts like a natural glucose lowering medication without the side effects. Walking is one of the most powerful tools for midlife for metabolism. Now, why it works. It lowers post-meal blood sugar. It improves insulin sensitivity. It reduces visceral fat and supports stress reduction. Next, let's manage stress to lower cortisol-driven belly fat. Your nervous system is part of your weight loss plan. A calmer body stores less fat. Chronic stress increases cortisol, which pushes fat towards the abdominal, and it worsens insulin resistance. Here are some helpful tools: breath work, yoga or stretching, journaling, boundaries, and rest. Then the final step is to improve sleep to rebalance hunger hormones. Sleep is not a luxury in midlife, it is a metabolic strategy. Improving your sleep is one of the most powerful non-hormonal ways to support weight loss during the menopausal stages. Quality sleep acts like a metabolic reset button, helping to regulate the hormones that influence hunger, fat storage, and how efficiently your body uses energy. All right, y'all, that's a wrap for today. If you've been feeling frustrated with weight gain, menopause belly, or just your body just doing its own thing, I hope this helped you understand what's really going on beneath the surface. You're not broken. You're not failing. It's your physiological changes that is shifting. And now that you have the tools, you can shift with it. Remember, midlife isn't the end of your health story. It is a new chapter you get to write with knowledge, strength, and compassion for yourself. If this resonated with you, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. Like and subscribe to this page. And as always, I am Dr. Butler, your favorite exercise scientist, reminding you that your body is capable, your health is worth fighting for, and this journey is far from over. I will see you next week.